Hey, and welcome everybody. Come on in and grab a seat at the bar. I'm your Photo Happy Hour bartender, Michael Mowbray, and I'm serving up an elf in the gutter because it's so dang cold outside. You want to know what's an elf in the gutter? I'll tell you soon. So stay tuned for the recipe at the end of the show. Joining me behind the bar are my fellow elves, Dan Freevault and Carl Keeler.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, hello.
I'm actually drinking an elf in the gutter. You got elf on the shelf, right?
Yeah.
This is elf in the gutter.
Elf in
So
the gutter.
it's hot chocolate and a whole lot of Dr. McGillicuddy's.
Ooh, there you go. That's the elfy greenish kind of part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had McGillicuddy's in a long time.
Back in college, that's what,
Oh, yeah.
if I was a little hungover, when we'd go out, we'd go down to the Hoist House. You know the Hoist House, Carl?
I remember.
I'd go to the Hoist House and I'd get a shot or two of Dr. McGillicuddy's, and I felt great after that.
It's the mint.
Calmed the stomach, took
Yeah.
care of the headache, cures what ails you. It was a magical elixir.
Well,
What's it gonna hurt?
Dan, haven't been feeling great lately. Maybe.
No, I'm
Maybe
just
that's
saying.
what I need.
Yeah.
I need doc. That's why I
Little
stepped up
Dr.
to whiskey.
McGillicuddy's.
My father-in-law would say blackberry brandy. That ails you at all.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Ugh.
But doctor is
Not-
similar.
Not after. Not after
No.
2000. Wait, what was it? 90. There was a year that blackberry brandy really wasn't a good idea anymore. So.
There was a day, and
There was
after
a
that,
day.
no more. Yes.
No
Yeah.
more.
So, if you're joining us for the first time, the podcast is about, it's about an hour
Alcohol.
usually. It's about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. No, we are three professional photographers who have been around for a while, and we know a little bit about photography, and we like to get together and talk about photography and have a few drinks, and the more we drink, the more we know. And we have a topic every week. But before we get into the topic, we have sponsors.
Ooh.
We've always had sponsors of some sort or another, but you know what? We can sponsor ourselves, right? Can we be sponsors for our own show? Let's give ourselves a pat on the back. So, the Photo Happy Hour is sponsored in part by MoLight. Imagine that. Innovation and integration in photographic lighting, featuring flashes from Godox, LEDs from Golden Eagle, and our own proprietary brands as well. Also sponsored by Seniors Unlocked, featuring edumacation, overlays, brushes, textures, and more for enhancing your creative photography. Learn more at store.seniorsunlocked.com. Is that right? Anything
That's
else you
right.
want to add?
Yeah, no.
And by Carl Keeler's one-on-one and group mentoring. You can contact Carl through his website at photoimagesbycarl.net. Net. So,
Oh,
on
wait.
to our topic. Our topic today is context.
And perception.
Context and perception, because that's
Like
important
contacts?
for our work. No, context.
Oh,
You know, like
context,
when you
okay.
go out and start your airplane, context. It's an old school airplane. You
Yeah,
know,
okay.
turn the propeller.
That was
And,
before they de-iced the wings and stuff. So yeah.
that's right.
Of course, there's a lot more crashes too. So just saying.
That's true. But they didn't fly as high, so the crashes weren't as bad. You didn't have as long to fall. You still died, but
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
more like crash
Thunk.
instead of
Instead of
ah.
we're still falling. Oh my god. We didn't just do that, did we?
Yes, we did.
We are recording already, aren't we? Oh my.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
we are. Of
We
course
are.
we are. We're 4.5 minutes in. We haven't done anything of any substance whatsoever. Anyway,
normal.
so
Okay.
Right on track.
Right on track.
so Carl, tell us what triggered this subject for today.
Well, I was scrolling through Facebook, and one of my Facebook friends posted a story from Good People News in Washington, D.C. They had, just to paraphrase it, they did an experiment. They brought a musician, one of the top violinists in the world, to come in and play on the subway or whatever it was. And he played for like an hour, and people kind of ignored him, walked by, maybe put $1 in his hot hat or whatever, and they said some people just ignored him completely. They had kids that were interested, but the parents just kind of pulled him by, and lo and behold, he made $37 in that hour that he played on the on the train. Come to find out, the night before, he played to a sold-out performance at whatever venue that they were at there in the D.C. area at $100 ticket average. And so the violin he was playing, what was it, a $3.5 million instrument?
Yeah.
So playing some of the best written music ever, from whether it was Bach or something like that. But it was...
Sebastian Bach?
Yeah,
Skid
something
Row?
like that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll talk later.
I think it's from his brother.
yeah.
I'll be back.
I'll be back for sure.
Arnold.
Arnold. But it's
to
been
the chopper.
bugging me. The whole story has been bothering me.
There goes McKillicuddy.
all
He just
day.
about got spit
Yeah.
out. Sorry.
Minty.
We're gonna have to use
Carry
shots
on.
again. Shotsky. So anyhow, the article was bothering me all day because it really it drew some parallels with things that are going on in our own world, in our photography world, and I think it's going to end up being a really kind of cool topic today. I know we're going to dig into a lot of different and maybe sometimes deeper than normal stuff on this topic today, but the reason it bothered me is I had just seen another post today, and I sent out a congratulations, something that I do for my past guests, that they got engaged this weekend. And there was photos of it from who knows who. And, of course, it was a competitor of 9 in town, and it was just like, we've done both your kids' senior portraits. We've done your family portraits. Where did this come from? And the photos are. It's good for the timing, for their memory, but they're nothing special. But in context, perception, it was a very, very important moment, and to the people that were going through the adventure of getting engaged. I'm sure those photographs are, the $3.5 million instrument. But I know I probably would have done a lot of things differently for them.
Sure.
And I wish I could have been there part of it. But it kind of parallels, the same guy played in a subway, made $37, and the night before played to people that came because they probably waited for months to be able to see and hear him. So it's timing, context, perception, being at the right
Perceived
place at the
value,
right time, perceived value. There's a lot of things that we can parallel with
Marketing.
this, and
Yeah.
exactly. So I think this is going to be a
Environment.
really good a good topic. And I'll start off with this. Did you guys happen to see to really swing this far off to the side on this, but did you see the documentary for the Madden documentary?
No, I haven't watched that yet.
No.
I want to
No,
watch
not
it.
yet.
Okay,
Maybe I'll watch that tonight.
I actually watched. I caught the last half of it the week before he passed away, and because they had aired it that week, and it was really so well done. You really got to see it. It was great, but there was part of it where he and I didn't realize, because I guess I just never thought about it, but I didn't realize it took that long for him to get into the Hall of Fame. I mean, it was insane. This
Yeah.
guy. To me, I think he should have been there years and years and years ago.
Yeah, the highest winning percentage of any NFL coach.
Ever. Yeah.
So,
It blew my mind. But so his kid was doing the interview with this kid during the documentary and talking about they were all in some locker room or something like that, and the newscast, whatever, came on, and it showed it said something about the nominees or this year's team, that are going to be in the Hall of Fame, inducted in the Hall of Fame, and it was Troy Aikman and so and so and John Madden, and everyone's like, holy crap! And then it just whoosh, everyone flew in to give him hugs and stuff, right there. And somebody went snap with like a phone picture, before even cell phones or whatever it was, and they showed the picture, and it was just a blur of people coming up to give him a hug, and you could hardly see, you could recognize them because everyone knows, Madden, but it was just a blurry mess. And the guy said the same thing. He said, of all the photographs that are probably worth millions, this is worth millions of memories or something like that. I videoed it off the TV because it was so cool. But he said this blurry piece of junk from a stupid little camera or a phone camera is worth more to us than anything else because it captured the moment that we all found out together. And it was the excitement, it was the joy, it was the from the heart expressions from everybody, the gut instinct of the moment. And I thought about that. I'm like, wow, that's, again, in context. And sometimes, as much as I would have loved to have been there photographing that engagement couple and think to myself, I could have done such a better job for these kids. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter because what matters is that the experience that's going on at that time or the subject that you're creating for at that time, that's the part that's the magical part. That's the part that's important to everybody. So, to me, I'm thinking, I'm so much, beat myself over the head to get things perfectly and technically straight right on and all the lines perfect and then the focus and perfect and the exposure has to be perfect and the clothing and the style closet and everything has to be absolutely perfect. And, maybe we're thinking too hard about that. Maybe we should start thinking more and more that, the client better just have fun and it better be their moment that we're recording in a way that gets them in the gut, that gets them in the heart. And so, I'm constantly learning from all these different kinds of things that we're seeing, and that's what this one really hit close to home to me because it says, this person is the best in the world, considered one of the best in the world, and out of context, a fraction, or nothing, a nobody.
I'm going to take that in I don't want to say another direction, but another aspect of that. You mentioned Troy Aikman. Okay. Troy Aikman, he went to the Cowboys, made it to, a couple of Super Bowls, one with 2 or 3, I think 3. He goes to the Browns. Do you think we're talking about Troy Aikman today?
Nope.
I don't think we are. I think that was a team made that quarterback. Not that he was bad.
Nope.
He was a good quarterback. Was he a Hall of Fame quarterback? I don't know, based on talent and based on what he did. He had a great offensive line. He had one of the best running backs in the history of the NFL. They had a lot of other pieces in place. You take a look at his stats, they're not impressive. So, no, I'm not a huge Troy Aikman fan because I call him the butthead of Beavis and butthead of him and Joe Buck. But I was looking into this recently, and I've always kind of felt the same way. I was like, he was a good quarterback. They won, but I think he helped them win, but he didn't carry that team by any means at all. There were a lot of other players on that team that really contributed as much, probably more, even though he was the quarterback. Context. You
Absolutely.
put him on the Browns, I don't think we're talking about Troy Aikman today.
Well, weren't the Packers supposed to, or had the opportunity to draft him, but they took Tony Mandrich instead?
Tony Mandrich, yeah.
Yeah, but
Right.
he got on stage and sang with Guns N' Roses, so
Which is, he is also quite the photographer these days as well,
He
if you
is.
didn't know that.
Tony Mandrich is?
Yes. Yeah,
really,
Really?
okay, that I didn't know.
absolutely. You didn't know that? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he's quite,
even
he's
know he
won
was still
awards
alive.
and stuff. Yeah.
I just heard on Sirius Radio yesterday too that John Cougar is.
Yes.
I think was it John Cougar? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
painting and
Yeah.
selling them there. It's crazy cool. I want to go. I gotta go look at his gallery yet.
He's quite the artist, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm going to come back to what Carl said, because Carl, I think it does make a difference. These important how good a photographer is there to capture these moments. You know, that person happened to be there, so that was the only photograph, and that's what made it special. But if there was someone who knew what they were doing, that photograph would be even better. I know it's sentimental, and
Right.
you know, same thing with engagements or weddings. Like, I don't know how many times when I used to do weddings, our best people selling us as photographers were the bridesmaids walking around that when we did wedding trade shows or wedding shows. Yep. It's like the bridesmaids walking around saying, "Don't skimp on the photographer. I wish I wouldn't have. I wish I wouldn't have." Like, I heard that so many times.
All
Like,
the
it's
time.
So many times. Yep.
you know, it's sold it for us, you know, and, you know, I think sometimes us looking on the outside, especially with Facebook, we see things and everybody's commenting. Well, yeah, they're commenting on the fact that someone got engaged or someone's already a senior or whatever. We take it as they're commenting on, they think these photos are awesome. They do think the photos are awesome because of the context, in a sense, of what's going on, but not necessarily these are great photographs. And we have to learn how to separate that. Otherwise, we'll go insane. You know?
I know this is something that you experienced, Carl, and you believe, and actually I believe along with you. And that is location. Where you are does make a difference, because there's a lot of people who are in the business say it doesn't matter if you're in a tiny town in West Virginia or in, you know, Deer Valley out in Utah or whatever. You know, you can make it anywhere. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. It makes a difference.
Those are
Where
usually
you're at
people
makes
trying
a
to sell you
difference.
something.
Yeah, yeah.
Sadly.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, and so that brings us right back to the violinist on the subway. You know, most of the people that were on those cars with him are probably not his target audience. I would venture a guess that most of the people that went to his concert the night before probably never rode on the subway before. You know, or very few of them did. You know, they're taking
location,
Yeah.
like Michael said. Yeah,
location. It's that's exactly it. So, you know, I mean,
So-
I remember. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. So think about this from a business aspect. You know, like, yeah, location is, you know, can make a big deal, but also, you know, what if they did a marketing plan, and, you know, they could bring people to that area. So as a business person, like, you might not be in the best place, but you might have a great product. So how can I get people to recognize my product and get them to come to me? You know, like, I understand this was an experiment, but taking marketing out of it, yeah, it's a good product. But let's throw marketing into it, you know.
How do we get the right people there to enjoy the
Right.
experience?
Right.
Ooh.
And from a
So-
firsthand experience, like, when I started over, that was one fear. Like, I had so many friends and colleagues say, "Well, you're a great photographer. You're going to make it. You're going to make it. Like, people are going to come to you, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, yeah, but if no one knows me, and you know, I need people to understand what's going on and that I am starting this new thing and I'm not associated with the other thing, and how are people going to find me? Like, that was one hurdle that I needed to really focus on, because you can have the best product in the world, but if no one knows about you, you're going to go broke. You know, similar. This guy's a super accomplished, but people are walking by in the subway like, "Huh, that's good," you know?
Yeah, they have no context for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking about this today, just taking it into more of a tangible product. You know, at MoLight, I sell Godox and Golden Eagle primarily. Everybody knows about Godox now. Just about everybody knows about Godox. So it's got name awareness, it's got brand awareness. Just about everybody knows somebody who has it. So it is already what I would call a warm product. You know, it's already warm. It's already in people's minds. So it's not that difficult to sell. It's a matter of, okay, what else is going to go with it? Because you can get it in multiple places. You know, service, support, all that kind of stuff. Price, obviously, but they're all pretty much the same price. So that's a warm product. Golden Eagle LEDs, that's a cold product, because I just got a bunch of new ones in, and I'm always, you know, I get these new products in from Golden Eagle. I put them on the website, and I'm like, okay, we're going to sell a bunch of these. They don't sell. Why? No one knows anything about them. They don't know anybody who owns one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cold product. So it takes more, like what you're talking about, branding, takes more marketing, it takes more effort to try to match and find people and match them up with these products and get them interested in it, warm them up, and get them to make the purchase or pay for the experience or whatever it is. The same kind of thing in your photography business and wherever you're located. Are you a warm photographer, or in terms of a product, or are you a cold product? If you're a cold product, like
Not
you
location.
mentioned, yeah.
We're not talking
But not
location
loc-
that way because it's cold.
It
right
is
now.
cold out.
Where
It is
I'm at.
Yeah, well, that's
Yes.
it. Hence why I've got the elf in the gutter, or otherwise the alternative name for this is go elf yourself. But anyway, but yeah,
What do you think would have happened on that subway if the night before at that performance at that high-end venue, if they would have said, hey, tomorrow we're going to enjoy a new experience on the subway. Come join us on the subway, such and such and such, for an hour of music on the subway, just for something, a new experience. Boom, they probably wouldn't have been able to, they wouldn't have had space on the subway,
Space,
probably.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and similar. So let's flip this with the whole Fire Festival. If you've ever heard or read or seen that documentary, it was genius. What's his name? Billy did. Is
Couldn't
it
tell
Billy?
you.
I was genius what they did because they were hype monsters. Well, they were. How would you say it? Con artists,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
basically. But they
what's that
hyped
term?
it.
Con artists,
con
yes.
artists.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
So,
Yes.
but they hyped it like crazy. They paid influencers and they hit social media with all just the orange square, and everyone's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" Sold all this stuff, pre-sold stuff, and even they had a list of the bands. Like their headliner was like, all the bands weren't even that great, even though they didn't really have those bands. And yet they sold out like crazy, and everyone showed up, and they were like emergency tents and a cheese sandwich instead of luxury villas and 5-course meals, So,
Wow.
it's how, I mean, that's not legal. I'm not saying do that, but it is perception, like we're talking. So I look at those things, it's like, how can you do that legally and get people?
You skirt the line.
Well, even
Yeah.
even it's not even talking about legal, illegal, or whatever. It's like your product and your experience need to match the hype. I mean, you can put a lot of hype
It does.
into something,
Yeah.
but
Or
if-
even
if the
price.
follow through isn't there. Yeah.
Isn't there? Yeah. I mean, we've talked a lot on these podcasts about price and perceived value with price, and how that attracts a certain clientele, or even like adding things like video or like the montages or composites and things that I do. Like a lot of that stuff has a lot to do with marketing. Not everyone gets a montage. Not everyone gets a video, but it shows that I'm doing something unique and different. Like I still get people all the time asking me to do weddings. I haven't done a wedding in I don't know how many years, probably a good 10 years. And I don't have any wedding stuff on my website anywhere, but people see my work and be like, hey, I want something different. So they reach out to me and do you do weddings?
For $367 million? Sure.
Right.
Exactly.
One.
I had exactly one wedding photo on my website last year, and somebody contacted me about a wedding, and I'm like, I really don't want to do a wedding, like COVID and everything else. I'm just not interested in weddings, period, right now. So like, okay, I got to go out to the website and take down the one wedding photo I have up there. It's just in a
Well-
gallery. There's not even a text with it. It was just, okay, that's gone.
And along those same lines as well, I've heard of in some of these bigger cities where people will steal photographers' images, put up a website, take deposits for weddings, and never show up. Like, again, perceived not legal again. I'm giving all these illegal things to do. It just sounds really bad, but
or unethical. I mean, I've also seen
unethical.
people,
Yes.
just stealing stuff off other people's sites and then posting it as their own, just as their own website, as marketing pieces. And somewhat similar to that, and in my mind, almost as bad, is going to
Style
seminars,
Yeah.
photographing over your shoulder and using that as your own. And
Right.
it's not. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, if
Because you aren't going to be able to, unless you practice that over and over again, you can't deliver that same look for your client. They're going to be lured in by that, and then they're going to look at the stuff they got and go, huh, that's
That's
different.
not what I expected.
That's
Right. Well, and I got an email on this today because we're doing, Jen Lewis, Garen, and myself are doing the Fusion workshop, and that was one of the questions where someone wanted to sign up is, can we use these images, for portfolio building, for marketing? It's like, well, you have to be able to reproduce this, and do you do destination? Are you going to be able to bring someone to Vegas and reproduce this? If you can do that, then yes.
Go for it.
But be aware or be cautious, because it's fun to go to these workshops and learn and get images, but if you can't reproduce that, then that's not your work, and you're doing false advertising.
If you live in Vermont and you're putting all these, really cool desert photos on your website, believe it or not, people are going to ask, well, can
Can
I
that
get
background? Yeah.
Yeah.
this? Yeah, I was like,
No.
well, that's in Nevada.
Well, and okay, so this is a funny story too, because circling back to when I did start over, I didn't have images to market with, but I had these funky images, and I had images when I was photographing all over the United States with After Dark and different conventions, every state I was going to, I had those images. And so I'm like, well, I'll put those up, but I'm like, well, how can this is going to be confusing. So I said, okay, I do destination senior photography. This is before anyone was doing destination senior photography. The reason I said that is because I did know those locations. I did create those images. And if you wanted to do that and pay me, I would do it. I knew right where to go. Let's go, let's go to Tucson, Arizona to the playing graveyard. Let's do these shots. And so that was part of my marketing, because that's all I had. And I was booking people, not that they wanted to go there, but they saw I was doing something different and creative. And I took what I thought was a negative and tried to spin it as positive as I could, because people still looked at the imagery and said, those are creative. No, we don't have to go there.
You could do something like that around here.
Yeah. What's that?
I said they could do stuff like that around your place too. It's just not going to be the same background.
Right.
And that comes back to location. Our backgrounds are locations. I mean, this is a far stretch from this, but it's so true. You got to choose your backgrounds wisely, whether it's a canvas or a muslin or a location outside somewhere. A boring background with no depth, no dimension it's not going to sell. It's going to be boring. Take it out of context. Screw up your perception.
Screw up your depth perception.
Ha! You got it.
Ah.
Can we get back to that falling thing again?
That's what I always wonder with that playing graveyard out in Tucson.
Yeah.
Why would anybody even fly over that if all the planes crash there?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, you never hear about the Bermuda Triangle anymore either, so
People are avoiding it.
Yeah.
And why do they put up the deer crossing signs? I mean, because that's where all the accidents are. Have the deer cross some other place.
Some other place. That's actually scarily an actual suggestion from people. So
I can't hear anything.
You can't. I noticed you pulling on your ear pod thingies there.
Dan lost his sense of hearing. Well, I think we're about out of stuff anyway.
There we
Yeah.
go. Speaking
but
of
you're
devil,
echoing now.
Jen Lewis called and
Since
messed up my microphones. So
That's what happened to me last time too.
Yeah, we're
And
getting
now
an
we're
echo
echoing.
now.
Echo.
Am
That's
I
not as
better
much
now?
fun without the echo.
okay.
Okay, now we're good. Okay, I gotta remember to edit that out. And we're back. Okay.
Was that our sponsor?
Yeah. Well, do we have anything else really? 'Cause we could just wrap.
No, I
this.
think we could wrap it up with that. Absolutely.
Wrap it up with that. I mean, well,
All right,
yeah.
so we'll give us a transition here. So be aware of the context of how you're presenting everything, because where you're at, how you present it, who you're speaking to, who you're presenting it to, who your target audience is, it all makes a difference. Because you could be that virtuoso violinist in the subway in D.C. making $37 in an hour. Or you could be the virtuoso violinist that's at Kennedy Hall or Kennedy Honors, where people are spending $100 a ticket. Same guy, different location, different context. So be aware of that. All right, so our drink of the week is Elf in the Gutter, or as I said, the alternate name is Go Elf Yourself. Simple ingredients, it's hot chocolate, however you want to make it. I just use my Keurig, and I just make a Keurig cup of hot chocolate. But I think this is important. I put in the schnapps first, and I put the hot chocolate into that because I think you want a base of the alcohol, and the alcohol will raise up through the hot chocolate, rather than putting the alcohol on top because it might just float.
What if you What if you put the schnapps into your Keurig and let that run through the machine? Then it would clean it.
It would clean your machine
and permeate right through the hot chocolate.
Yeah, but then your coffee ends up being kind of minty.
So?
So,
So for the minty part, you want some peppermint schnapps. Again, I prefer Dr. McGillicuddy's because it will cure what ails you. And if you drink enough, you won't care anymore anyway. So a couple of glugs of that, put it in a tall mug, add some hot chocolate, float some marshmallows if you feel fancy, and there you go. Go elf yourself.
There you go.
Do I have to mark this for having explicit content now? I don't think so.
No.
So once again, the Photo Happy Hour has been sponsored in part by MoLight, Seniors Unlocked, and Carl Kaler, the photo mentor and coach extraordinaire. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and check out our YouTube channel as well. Until next time, cheers to you.
Cheers.
You don't know the power of this podcast. You must obey me and subscribe. When I first started listening, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. Subscribe now. It is useless to resist.